There are some major developments near Lambeau Field taking place. Crews are going to be starting to tear down several Packers-owned properties next week. So what does that mean for the future of the area? Fox 11 Investigates continues to look at what's developing in the shadows of Lambeau Field. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight. This is a story that we've been working on and telling you about for more than 7 years. And it just keeps expanding. There continue to be updates. Today we learned the Packers will be tearing down a handful of buildings west of the stadium, including what had been a Kmart store. Fox 11's Robert Hornacek joins us now live this evening in the soon-to-be demolition zone in Ashwaubenon. And Robert, we won't have to wait long for this to start.
That's exactly right, Tom. You know, the Packers still aren't saying exactly what they have planned for the west side of Lambeau Field, but we do know there are some big changes coming. In fact, starting next week, several buildings around here will be coming down.
Just months after closing its doors, the old Kmart is coming down. It's one of 5 Packers-owned properties west of Lambeau Field set for demolition. The team owns 20 properties in that area. Fox 11 Investigates reviewed building permits filed with the village of Ashwaubenon. Those documents include details of the demolition. Next week, crews will tear down the former Pomp's Tire Store, Hardee's, and the buildings left on the former Big Lots property. In November, crews will demolish the former Kmart and a chiropractor's office behind it.
It's really just the next step in what eventually will happen.
Packers spokesman Aaron Popke says the demolition makes sense, especially with winter around the corner.
It's simply a prudent way of taking care of some property with some empty buildings rather than having to heat them and maintain them through the winter. They're going to come down eventually, so the decision we made was let's take them down now.
Before the Kmart and chiropractor's office are razed, crews will remove asbestos from the buildings. Mark Davis is the asbestos program coordinator with the DNR.
It's a process that anyone who undertakes demolitions on buildings such as this are required to comply with, because with asbestos and exposure to asbestos, you can contract asbestosis or mesothelioma.
Once the demolition is complete, Popke says some of the properties may be used for parking. As for the long-term plans, he says the Packers aren't ready to make any announcements just yet.
We've got some concepts that we discussed before that are being explored, and we're still working through those things, but at some point, the time frame's still open, but at some point we'll have some details that we'd be ready to announce.
So just because these buildings are coming down doesn't mean there's some development imminent?
Correct.
Now, there are still a couple of properties on the west side of Lambeau Field the Packers do not own, namely the Roadstar Inn over my left shoulder and the property where the blind ref is located on my right. Now, the owners of both of those properties have told me recently that the Packers have contacted them and have expressed interest in purchasing those properties, but so far nothing's been finalized. Reporting live in Ashwaubenon, Robert Hornacek, Fox 11 News.